Right now, at this exact moment, there's an American sailor sitting 800 feet below the ocean surface who hasn't seen sunlight in 74 days. He's sharing a bed that's still warm from the guy who just got out of it. He'll shower for exactly 5 minutes tomorrow, his only shower this week. And the steak he's about to eat for dinner? Better than anything you'll find at most restaurants on land. But here's the part that'll mess with your head. In 2023, a British submarine crew surfaced after 201 days underwater. When they finally came up, they'd been eating half rations for 3 weeks. Medics were handing out caffeine pills just to keep the crew awake enough to operate a vessel carrying enough nuclear weapons to level 40 cities. One mistake at those depths, and 140 people don't come home. This isn't survival reality TV. This is the actual daily routine that keeps America's most powerful weapons platforms operational. And after researching hundreds of hours of declassified reports and interviewing former submariners, I discovered something shocking. The daily schedule that worked for 50 years was secretly destroying these sailors' bodies. Let me show you what really happens when humans try to live underwater for 3 months straight. Section 1. The Space Nightmare. Here's something that'll make your tiny apartment feel like a palace. A Virginia-class attack submarine is 377 feet long, longer than a football field. Sounds spacious, right? Wrong. 1/3 of that submarine is the nuclear reactor. Another third is weapons systems, sonar equipment, and machinery. What's left for 132 human beings to eat, sleep, work, and somehow stay sane for 90 days. About 60 feet of livable space. You don't get a bedroom. You get a rack, a coffin-sized bunk, stacked 3 high, with 18 inches between your face and the guy sleeping above you. There's a curtain. That's your privacy. That's your personal space for 3 months. And if you're new to the boat, you don't even get your own rack. They call it hot racking. 3 sailors, 2 bunks. You work your 8-hour shift. You head to your assigned rack. It's literally still warm from the body heat of the guy who just woke up to start his shift. You don't think about it. You just sleep, because in 6 hours, you're back on watch. And the submarine doesn't care if you're exhausted. The bathrooms? 33 sailors share 1 head with 2 toilets, 2 sinks, 1 shower. The shower rule isn't some arbitrary Navy regulation. It's physics. Every drop of fresh water comes from desalination systems powered by the nuclear reactor. The system produces 40,000 gallons daily, but most of that goes to cooling computers and navigation equipment. So you get 5 minutes. Navy showers. Water on. Soap up. Water off. Rinse. Done. But here's what really breaks people. There are no windows. Zero. None. You could be cruising under Arctic ice or sitting off the coast of North Korea. You'd have absolutely no idea. Sunlight becomes a memory. Your circadian rhythm, that internal clock that tells your body when to sleep, completely falls apart. Time stops having meaning. Your only reference points are watch schedules and meal rotations. One former sonar technician told me, "Around day 40, I genuinely forgot what the sun looked like. Not metaphorically. I literally couldn't picture it in my mind anymore." Section 2. The Food Paradox. Now here's where things get weird. Before a 90-day patrol, 15,000 pounds of food gets loaded onto the submarine. That's roughly 115 pounds per sailor. Fresh vegetables last 2 weeks. After that, you're into canned, dried, and frozen supplies that'll sustain you until surfacing. But submarine food? It's legendary. The Navy allocates 50 cents more per meal per sailor on submarines compared to surface ships. Doesn't sound like much until you multiply it out. 132 guys eating 4 meals a day for 90 days. That's an extra $23,760 in the food budget. The result? Prime rib on Sundays, crab legs, lobster tail, fresh baked bread every single day. Even 80 days into patrol using frozen dough. Steak that would cost you $60 at a steakhouse. Why? Because good food is the only luxury these guys have. No liberty ports, no stepping outside for fresh air, no changing scenery. But dinner? Dinner is an event. The galley itself is absurd. 8 by 10 feet, smaller than most American bathrooms. 2 convection ovens, 1 fryer, 2 boiler pots, 1 griddle. 6 culinary specialists use this impossibly small space to crank out 528 meals every single day. Storage is a logistical nightmare. The walk-in freezer is packed, floor to ceiling, with food organized with military precision. First meals loaded go in front, last meals in the back. The cooks memorize exactly where everything is because you can't waste time digging around looking for ingredients when you've got 132 hungry sailors on a meal schedule. But here's what nobody talks about. Food is the limiting factor for submarine operations. Not the nuclear reactor. That runs for 25 years without refueling. Not the oxygen systems. Not the crew's mental endurance. Food. Remember that British submarine that stayed down for 201 days? Toward the end, sailors were sharing half rations, searching storage compartments for leftover meal packets. The command actually started rationing caffeine tablets because hungry, exhausted sailors make mistakes. And on a nuclear submarine carrying Trident missiles, mistakes are catastrophic. American submarines carry 90-day supplies with padding, usually enough for 110 days if they stretch it. The Navy's even tested experimental resupply methods: drones, helicopters, C-17 cargo planes doing airdrops while the sub surfaces briefly in the middle of the ocean. Because when you run out of food, you surface. Mission over. The reactor can keep running. The missiles can keep sitting in their tubes. But the human beings need to eat. Section 3. The schedule that broke sailors. For over 50 years, American submariners operated on a schedule that made absolutely no sense to human biology. An 18-hour day. Not a typo. 18 hours. 6 hours on watch. 12 hours off to eat, train, maintain equipment, and somehow sleep, then back on watch. Your watch rotation moved 6 hours earlier each day. Midnight watch one day becomes 6 p.m. the next, then noon, then 6 a.m. Scientists who studied this found something disturbing. The human body runs on a 24-hour circadian rhythm, hardwired into our DNA by millions of years of evolution. You can't just reprogram it to 18 hours because it's operationally convenient. Submariners were getting roughly 6.5 hours of sleep per 18-hour cycle, but it was fragmented. One guy might sleep 4 hours, wake up for a drill, sleep another 2 hours, grab a meal, sleep 1 more hour before his next watch. The fragmentation destroyed sleep quality. Sailors were experiencing the equivalent of jet lag every single day, shifting 6 time zones east with each watch rotation. Their bodies never adjusted. They just accumulated sleep debt. You'd see guys on watch literally nodding off at their stations. That's not just dangerous. It's potentially catastrophic. A submarine operates in 3 dimensions: depth, speed, direction. Every station requires constant alertness. One guy spacing out at the wrong moment, and the boat could surface into a shipping lane, or drop below crush depth, where water pressure would implode the hull in milliseconds. Then in 2014, everything changed. The Navy mandated a switch to 24-hour schedules across the entire submarine force. 8 hours on watch, 16 hours off. Sailors started going on watch at the same time every single day. The results were immediate and dramatic. Guys started actually sleeping at the same time daily. Their circadian rhythms aligned. Performance improved. Accidents decreased. Morale shot through the roof. One submarine commander put it bluntly: guys complained less, stayed more alert, made fewer mistakes. It wasn't even close. The American submarine force figured this out before any other navy in the world. While other nations were still grinding their crews on outdated 18-hour schedules, U.S. submariners were getting better sleep, sharper focus, superior performance. That's the kind of edge that wins wars before they start. Section 4. The Unwritten Laws. There's a code on submarines that nobody prints in a manual. You learn it by watching, by messing up, by getting corrected by senior sailors. Rule 1. Never talk politics. You've got 132 guys from every corner of America, red states, blue states, cities, rural towns, living in a space smaller than most houses. What matters is the guy next to you does his job when it counts. You trust him with your life. He trusts you with his. Politics divide people. Submarines require absolute unity. Rule 2. Never slam a door. Someone is always sleeping. The boat runs 3 8-hour watches, which means 44 sailors are off watch trying to sleep at any given moment. You slam a door, you just woke up 20 guys who need to be sharp for their next watch. In extreme cases, you could cost someone their dolphins, their qualification pin. Rule 3: 5-minute showers. No exceptions. It's not about conserving water for yourself. It's about the 32 other guys who need to shower before they can crawl into their racks. You take a 10-minute shower, you just stole 5 minutes from 6 other sailors. Rule 4: never complain about the food. The culinary specialists work brutal hours in that tiny galley to feed you well. You don't like the meal? Keep it to yourself. Complaining about food is complaining about the guys working hardest to make your life bearable. Rule 5: qualify fast. When you're new to a submarine, you're called a nub, non-useful bot. Until you earn your dolphins, you're taking up space, breathing air, eating food. Earning dolphins means learning every system on that boat: damage control, navigation, weapons, engineering. Until you qualify, you're tolerated. Once you earn them, you're crew. These rules exist because a submarine is a closed system. You can't leave. You can't take a walk to cool down. You're stuck with the same 131 people for 3 months. The only way that works is if everyone follows the code. And American submariners have perfected it. Section 5. The mental grind. Month 1, underwater, feels almost exciting. New mission, new patrol, purpose. Month 2 is when it starts creeping in, the sameness. The routine that felt comforting now feels like Groundhog Day. Same 131 faces, same conversations, same meals on a rotating 7-day schedule, same jokes you've heard 40 times. By month 3, sailors are counting days. They're short timers, marking calendars in their racks, dreaming about sunlight, fresh air, seeing family. Scientists who study submarine psychology found something surprising. Anxiety and depression rates are actually lower than you'd expect. But submariners do report physical symptoms: gastrointestinal problems, tension headaches, muscle pain. The body keeps score, even when the mind stays tough. The isolation is profound. These guys are completely disconnected from world events. Families can send 40-word messages through official Navy communication systems once a week. That's it. 40 words to summarize 7 days of your life for the person you love most. And anything seriously bad, deaths, divorces, family emergencies, gets filtered out. The command decides whether you need to know, not because they're cruel, but because you literally can't do anything about it anyway. And a distracted submariner is a dangerous submariner. One former weapons officer told me, "My daughter took her first steps while I was underwater. I found out 3 weeks later in a 40-word message. By the time I surfaced, she was walking everywhere." The sailors who handle it best aren't necessarily the toughest guys physically. They're the optimistic ones, the ones with dark humor, who can laugh at the absurdity of living in a steel tube 800 feet underwater for 3 months. The ones who can find meaning in routine. Team cohesion becomes everything. These guys develop bonds stronger than most friendships on land. They've seen each other exhausted, frustrated, homesick, furious, and they keep showing up for each other every single watch. That's what makes it work. 90 days underwater. 13 weeks of routine that would mentally break most people. Wake up in a rack, still warm from the last guy. Stand your 8-hour watch monitoring systems. Train on emergency procedures. Eat a surprisingly good meal. Sleep in shifts. Repeat. Same faces. Same 60 feet of livable space. Day after day after day. But American submariners don't see it as insane. They see it as purpose, as service, as maintaining the peace through strength that nobody sees. Because here's what most people don't understand. Peace isn't passive. Peace is maintained by people willing to spend months underwater in cramped conditions, doing difficult, dangerous work that the public never hears about. Right now, somewhere in the Atlantic or Pacific, there's an American submarine running silent 800 feet down. There are 132 sailors aboard following the same routine, standing the same watches, eating the same meals, trusting each other completely. And they volunteered for it. That's the part that's truly remarkable. Nobody forces you to become a submariner. You raise your hand. You pass the psychological screening. You earn your dolphins. And you spend years of your life in a metal tube under the ocean, protecting American interests. The crazy part isn't the routine. It's that they volunteer for it, that they re-enlist, that they bring the next generation aboard and teach them the same standards, the same unwritten rules, the same commitment to excellence. That's the insane daily routine of submarine crews living underwater for 90 days. Except it's not insane at all. It's dedication, discipline, professionalism, and it's happening right now, somewhere beneath the waves.